We're unmuted for the video. Now I... No, no, no. Unmuted. It's the internet. You're busy. Let's do this. Welcome to the GamesBeat Decides podcast. It's the podcast where Mike annoys Jeffrey Michael Grubb on a weekly basis. How's that going for you, Mike? How's that? Yeah. Is your middle name Jeffrey? You should change it. You should change it to Jeffrey. This is the podcast where we decide everything in the world of games so you don't have to think for yourself. I'm your host, Jeffrey Grubb. With me is Mike Minotti. I think we've established that pretty firmly. Yay! In today's episode, we're going to go over some news. We got some games. I think the news has some pretty meaty topics, so no second topic this week. Also, I'm very tired. Mike also called himself Sleepy Mikey right before we started. Yeah, great. I don't have your audio in the video. I can fix that real quick. Mike, why don't you do something funny? Entertain these people for once. Well, no, I definitely have your video, and I have your audio on the podcast, the audio version. Yeah. So that's been a good fun time this week. He's very, very grumpy with me. All right, let's do this stuff first. That people are so right that I should know everything about this game that doesn't exist anymore, or if it does, yeah, and I'm like, homie, I wrote the news story when it happened. Like, they ripped it away from you. We're talking about this. People aren't gonna know, but I don't know. The guy that made Firefall, which was a big game that was supposed to be like the WoW with guns or whatever. He got mad at me because I made fun of him on Twitter. And then they're like, you know that game would have been fine if they wouldn't have taken it away from me. And I'm like, dude, you actually just spent money faster than you could make it, and that's why they took it away from you. This is what we're doing now. You can get more from me and Mike at GamesBeat.com. If you have something to share with us, you can email the podcast at gamespluspodcast@VentureBeat.com. You can also get us on Twitter at GamesBeat or at GBDecides. If you're watching this on Facebook or YouTube or Twitch or any number of other sources, you can subscribe to the audio version of this show. It's on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Stitcher, all the places where pods are caught. Finally, if you like what you're hearing, which is just implausible, I think, at this point, you could rate us on Apple Podcasts. That helps us out. All right, Mike. So other than... I can't even remember his name right now. Mark Kern? Mark Kearney. Okay, I was... Kern. Okay, just Kern. Okay. So he's the guy that made World of Warcraft such a success, right? Sounds like you're diminishing his contributions, Mike. That's what it sounds like to me. Isn't it your job to know this stuff, though? That's... okay. Well, we should get into other topics instead of making this show all about that this week. We've been playing some games. So what have you been up to? Hey, speaking of World of Warcraft... That's fine. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, it sounds like it's the game that is still better than anything else at keeping players engaged for long periods of time. Uh, yeah, like every game that is trying to do that these days still feels like it's chasing this same thing as it's always as as always. But I don't know. Have you been getting into anything else? Yeah, I see Celeste still. It's a game I'm still playing. Hmm. Right. I don't know. I think so because that's like that's like the third world or fourth world or yeah. Yes, is really hard. Yes. They don't joke around with those B sides. It's hmm yeah. Oh yeah, totally. And like for people that feel like they aren't, they have all those difficulty options to mess around with, and they can get it too. So a very rewarding game in terms of challenging people and making you feel accomplished, but also very accommodating at the same time. I'm trying to 100% that game right now. I'm getting pretty close. No, because I don't want to feel bad about myself yet. Like I'm still in that zone where I'm like I am still struggling with a lot of these levels for, you know, try to get you back. Is this just not working? Yeah. So okay. So Celeste, it is a game I plan to kind of get all the way through, and yeah, once I do, then I'll start watching all the speed runs nonstop. It's gonna be perfect for that. Hmm. Right. Yeah. There's a ton of momentum tricks in the game that, like, yeah, once you even start to get a hint at it, it's like, oh wow, there's a lot more going on in the physics system here than the game lets on at first. Have been playing a few other things. I can just kind of run through them. Steep, that Ubisoft Extreme Sports winter game. Yes, not quite. I had it going before that actually, but I mean that helped. Um, they have an Olympic Games like add-on, an expansion, like the road to the Olympics, and it's not like you get to play as any of the main people in the Olympics, but they have these interviews with them like between all of these sort of set up challenges that are like, oh, here's how the fictional character you're playing as got to the Olympics, and here's all the things they had to do, and you get to do that stuff. And you know that game's pretty good. It's pretty solid. It's also like a reminder of just how like these Ubisoft games stick around for so long that and they somehow I don't know it's some sort of trick that they're doing where they make you think, oh wow, that game's still around, and you know it must matter. There must be something happening there. That's what happened with like me and Rainbow Six, and there is something happening there. That game is just keeps getting better. It's really good. But I think it's something that could work with all their games because I felt the same thing about Steep, and now I'm enjoying that as well. We'll see if that content like really has anything at the end of it because I'm still at the progression stage. I don't know if they're going to have any actual Olympic competitions because it is called Road to the Olympics, so we'll see. But I guess that's why there was no Mario and Sonic at the Olympic Games this year because Ubisoft got the license. So yeah, Ubisoft saved Sega from themselves. Um, okay, and then Descenders is another one I've been playing. This game is a downhill bicycling like mountain biking game essentially. This is like another extreme sport. I got my Mountain Dew and my Red Bull and my Monster Energy drink, and I call it the cocktail. And boy, it really makes my heart want to die. So yeah, but Descenders doesn't. It's a really good game. It's again very physics heavy. Very much. It's like one of these games where it's a 3D downhill game. It's not like Trials where it's 2D, and it's very punishing if you're not going to actually try to take it seriously and try to get very accurate with the sticks. The left stick controls the steering of the bike, but the right stick controls like your body, and you have to sort of twist yourself to do these power slides into turns because if you don't, you're going to be going way too fast, and you'll carry your momentum right off. And so you have to use this kind of complicated, almost skate like, skate EA skate like control scheme that I find really satisfying. And then the structure of the game itself is set up like Spelunky, where you have these four worlds that you need to go through, but you have to start at the beginning each time, and you get four lives, basically four times that you can bail, and you have to get all the way through to the end. And if you complete bonus objectives along the way, you'll get an extra life, and that'll keep you going a little bit longer. And then it also has like the daily challenge, which is exactly like Spelunky as well. So it's interesting to see that structure of Spelunky applied to something so different, but it really works. It's something that's like, okay, now that I get that, I could see myself going back every day to just at least try the daily challenge, because you get to just try that once, and it's self-contained, and I like that idea. I wish more games would actually just steal that stuff from Spelunky. Also, Age of Empires Definitive Edition. Mike, did you ever play any Age of Empires? Right. Yeah, this is the game, same thing, 20 years ago, made to run on modern systems. I do think there's some quality of life improvement stuff, mostly in terms of like pathfinding, and just maybe a few UI things. But for the most part, it's the game you're going to remember, and it works well. It is exclusive to the Windows 10 store, and I have had some issues there getting it to actually work with my account because I have it on one account and I want to play it on my Windows account. But that might just be a me thing. And then also like trying to play it in full screen. Those universal Windows platform games can have some issues there, but for the most part, it just works and it's fine. I don't know. Go ahead. Yes. Yes. So I didn't play a ton of any Age of Empires. I was very much a Civ guy. I liked turn based. But yes, Age of Empires 2 was definitely better, and you could tell because this game, it just feels like it is this relentless race that is over before you know it if you're losing. And if you're losing, you're just like almost at any point, if you're far enough behind, it's just over. And so it just feels like this. I mean, it's not a waste of time. You're still going through all the motions and you're learning stuff, and you can apply it to the next run. But they definitely expand on this stuff in the sequels. And that's kind of what I was going to say. Is this feels like more like it's a chance to whet people's appetite for the upcoming new Age of Empires sequel that's coming out. So, Bayonetta 2 on the Switch. I didn't even mean to start playing this, Mike. Like, I'm like, okay, I'm going to get this game, and once I get a little bit of time in the next week or so, maybe I'll do some video of it. I mean, people know what it is, but, I'll remind people, yes, this is still a good game. Get it on your Switch. That's awesome. I booted it up, and I couldn't put it down. It's still so good. It's just so honkin' bananas from the very first second, and it doesn't let up, and it knows what it is, and it's fun, and colorful. It blitzes your eyes with nonstop action. And it works on the Switch. I was thinking at the very beginning, like, actually, there's too much stuff happening on this small screen. This is the game that maybe won't work on Switch. But ever since that very beginning, like, fight, I haven't felt that way anymore. Especially once you kind of remember, like, oh yeah, there's this lock on, and once you start remembering like what all the enemies look like, and they're so distinct that it really does work. So. Yep, good game, still good. You heard it here first, Mike. Yeah, that's fair. I mean, I think people all have different favorite Platinum games, and I think that might be mine. That's that or Vanquish. No, I don't. No, I don't. Yes, for sure. But yeah, I mean, Bayonetta 2 is a million times better than Nier Automata. What are we talking about? A million. Yes, a million gazillion billion. Mike, let's go. We should jump to the news now. Does that sound good? All right, we got a few big headlines here. I think we're just gonna go in order of how I put them in this list. First up is Shadow of the Colossus on PlayStation 4. That remake came out, and boy, is it selling. It topped the UK charts, and it outsold the PlayStation 2 launch by 73%. So, like, you match the two launches up, the PlayStation 2 version and this version. This one is just completely outdoing it. I think UK numbers are done by unit sales. So, this version costs $40. That old one cost $50. There's some disparity there, but $40 is still quite a bit of money. And I bet it still ended up making a lot more money than the original. So, yeah, that's impressive. I mean, we've been seeing these remakes do really well, especially on PlayStation systems right now. And I do think a big part of that is the bulk of Sony's audience is just right in that sweet spot where they are coming out of college and they have a lot of disposable income. And they remember a lot of these games from when they were very young kids. And now they're going to get a chance to go back and experience them like the way they play games now. And that's why something like Crash Bandicoot does so well. And now this. We're going to just keep seeing these, aren't we? Like, Sony's going to like start looking around and be like, what can we do next? Yeah, we could just talk about that right now, yeah. Right. Yeah, that's for sure. That's totally fine. Yeah, and that is one of the other stories. Spyro Trilogy Remaster coming to PlayStation 4 this year. Again, that's a rumor, but that's going to happen. And the word there is that it's going to be exclusive to PlayStation 4 for a year, and then after that, it'll probably come to everything, the Switch included. I know. Yeah, they got those first year sales. I mean, Crash Bandicoot might hit the other stuff later. I mean, I see what you're saying, because if they want to keep that excitement of the PlayStation audience going, For future Crash games, they would want to keep it exclusive, but I don't know, maybe Sony just didn't want to pay the full price for that. So, yeah. Yeah, idiots. Listen to Mike Minotti. That's what this show actually should be called. Loot box legislation has been introduced in the state of Hawaii. Mike, did you write about this? I think you were kind of like, or at least kind of tracked down looking at it. I mean, I looked at it too. We can kind of go over like the basic things here. There's a bunch of bills that have been introduced. There's Senate Bill 3024. This would prohibit the sale of any game featuring a system wherein players can purchase a randomized reward using real money to anyone younger than 21 years old. There's another two bills, and these ones would require video game publishers to prominently label the game and say that it contains the randomized purchasing system. They would also have to disclose the probability rate of receiving each loot box reward. So, yeah, I mean, this stuff's I think it's gonna keep happening until things sort of sort out, or legislators get tired and get distracted and move on to something else. But I mean, do you think that? I guess first, do you think these bills make sense? Yeah. It's huh. Yeah, it skeeves me out a little bit, especially because like I do have memories of playing Magic the Gathering as a kid, and like I would just be, it'd be weird if someone came and took that away from me suddenly. Hmm. Oh yeah. Yep, it will be remembered as the loot box game for sure. Uh, uh, it'll be interesting to see how EA tries to react to any of this, but I would imagine that these bills are going to face a lot of opposition from the ESRB, or the ESA, as they say, actually, unless someone can prove how this is really hurting people, instead of just saying, oh, it's like gambling, which doesn't mean much. Like, lots of things could be like gambling. I think you have to say it's like gambling, and here's how it actually hurts people in a documented sense. Um, and so people could do that. And I saw some analysts on Twitter saying the similar things. This is all going to be First Amendment stuff. Like, they're going to say, hey, we're actually just, this system in our game is speech. Like, it's a software system, but it is part of our artistic expression, and it's protected. And unless you can really prove a high bar of saying no, it's hurting people because it's gambling, and that's going to be a tough thing to prove. I do think it's probably going to be, a lot of these things are going to be thrown out or overturned by higher courts. The Hawaiian Supreme Court or the actual U.S. Supreme Court. That said, is this stuff going to help? Probably not. I mean, it sounds like it's just going to like destroy the mobile gaming ecosystem completely. I mean, I don't know if this is the exact language. I'm taking language from other places online. I mean, like this one says it would prohibit the sale of any game featuring a system. So maybe you could give the game away for free. Right, and then also maybe also the idea that you can't purchase a randomized reward using real money. Okay, well, how about if I purchase a token? Can I purchase a token, and that token can be used to then buy a randomized reward? Like, are there loopholes here that are just going to be exploited immediately, and all these bills just don't make any sense and probably just, hold back things that are trying to be a little bit more transparent about how you're using your money. So I don't know. You're right. I think your original sentiment about it's weird that the government's getting involved in this stuff and telling game developers how they can make games. Right. Yeah, and I get the threat of regulation from the people that are yelling the loudest. That is the stuff that gets companies to self-regulate and course correct. But yeah, it feels like a lot of people that still want that stuff are like, we don't care how they're going to regulate or course correct. We're going to ride this thing into the ground until we actually get some stuff on the books so they can never try this again. And I'm like, I think you'll regret that in the end. Or, maybe you'll just end up hurting other people that like different kinds of games than you. But yeah, we'll see. This story's not going to go anywhere. I'm sure we're going to be talking about this for the rest of the year at the very least. On this same topic, a senator asked the ESA's ESRB, the ratings board, to first they want them to go back and re-examine their decision or their determination about loot boxes and whether or not it's gambling. The ESRB said no, it's not. The senator also says they want the ESRB to increase game ratings for games that do have loot boxes. So it can't just be teen. It's got to be, I think, mature or maybe adult. Right, exactly, yeah. Which does have some effect on how it's sold at certain stores, Walmart and things like that, which is a huge retailer for video games. ESRB is not a government organization. It is it exists as a thing to self-regulate. But when a senator starts asking, that comes with the implied threat of, again, government regulation. So we'll see how the ESRB reacts to this. And again, this is just something that's going to happen for the rest of the year. Yep. Finally, THQ Nordic has acquired Koch Media. And Koch Media is the parent company of Deep Silver, which is the company that acquired Saint... No, they do not. And they aren't the Koch brothers either. They acquired Saints Row and a couple other games from THQ when THQ went under, when they went bankrupt in like 2015, I think. THQ Nordic was just Nordic Games. They acquired the THQ name and then games like Darksiders and a bunch of other THQ stuff. And it sounds like they're trying to like really reestablish THQ as what it was. And what I imagine is any moment now, THQ Nordic's gonna be like, hey, we dropped Nordic, we're just THQ now. THQ Publishing. Yes, it's very weird. Yeah, I mean, does it mean anything to you that like this THQ Nordic is trying to like bring back Saints Row? Like, yeah, I don't think so. Yeah. Yeah, it really it failed, like without a doubt. Like there's no other way to put it. It was a failure, and that's probably, I think we're looking at the effect of that cause of that game coming out and not really gathering many people, not getting people excited or anything like that. And now that that failure to recoup investment has maybe led Koch Media to say, hey, let's get out of this business. Let's sell off while we can. THQ Nordic's buying. Let's sell. So, I don't know. I like Saints Row games, and I hope THQ Nordic knows what they're doing, but I just... they're making a Darksiders game, and we haven't seen that or anything, really, so who knows? Yeah. Mike, I don't have any other news. Anything else from the past week you want to talk about? Yeah, I think we went through that January period, and it kind of got way more intense than I think a lot of people were expecting, at least more than I was. And now it feels like, okay, actually, this is the end of 2017 finally, and we're getting that breather that we were promised, last month, right? Yeah, right, exactly. So yeah, we're gonna get into GDC. We get into like PAX East. You know, some big games are launching. Not yet. No, not yet. But this is the one that like the first Nintendo like new Nintendo 64 game in like 20 years or some shit, right? Like, yeah, okay. Hmm. No. Yeah, well, like, did they explain their motivation? They're just like, we did this because we could. Okay. No, yeah, of course not. Yeah, I always wonder like if there's a way like to make a living or like make a business like selling old game. Excuse me, selling like actual physical old games that work on old hardware, or selling new games made for those old systems. Because I mean, it seems like maybe there would be a market for that stuff, but at this point, right? But yeah, it just seems like if you're going to do that, though, why not just make it a downloadable game that's on Steam and Switch and everything? Right. Exactly. So yeah, like it. I mean, I really like this idea. I think that concept is super fascinating. But even I would probably just play the digital version because it would just be so much more convenient. Yeah. Yeah, and it's actually that's what I was thinking. Like now that I got the Super NT, if a new Super Nintendo game came out, I actually would do that. So I'm wondering if there's a maybe like a collaboration between these clone console makers and these people working with old hardware to make new software. If there's something that could be done there, like I think someone made a Netflix that would work on the NES, and if someone sold that cartridge, I would buy it instantly. I would totally get that because I would just like want to like mess around with that, but it's that's a really weird custom thing, and that cartridge would probably cost $300 or something like that. So, but I don't know. I'll have to read that story. Yep, and I think that's gonna do it for us this week. A quick episode, but it felt pretty good. It felt like we packed a lot of info in there, and we will be back next week with even more. In the meantime, Mike, why don't you tell the people where they can find you? Did that episode go up yet? I feel like I okay, it went up today. All right, awesome. Because I'm like I haven't checked my podcast feed in a little bit. And I was interested to hear more about that stuff because it's one of those things. Now that I have a family, me and Steph keep talking about, like, hey, we should actually start thinking about really doing that. And I keep reading about that Star Wars hotel, and they keep teasing it, and they say it's going to happen in 2019. And boys, that just sounds like my jam. Oh yeah, we already do that. Totally, it's the only thing that gets us in the mood anymore. We really screwed up. That Pavlovian response is real shit. Um, I am Jeff Grubb on Twitter, YouTube.com/Jeffrey Grubb, and then Twitch.tv/Jeff Grubb. I've been trying to stream a lot more on Twitch. Um, Especially like when I have like games just to cover, I'm gonna stream them at the same time. So I did Descenders on there, and I played Age of Empires, and I have been playing around with the Logitech wheel a lot more. Like I got your American Truck Simulator during this Lunar New Year event sale on Steam for like $5, and I'm like, oh yeah, this is a good time, and I played that, did a couple runs of that. So yeah, check that out. I'm usually on pretty late at night because again, new dad stuff, but check that out. Usually, you can follow and you'll get a notification. Other than that, though, I think that's going to wrap us up for this week. We'll be back again with new information for your ear holes and the visuals of me and Mike sitting next to each other on the internet. Yeah. Until then, that's yeah. I'm very literal when I describe things. All right, everybody. I'm hitting the end button. See you guys then. Bye.